From exotic luxury vacations to dream weddings, theme parties to family reunion cruises, corporate travel to corporate team building events, Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. Take the stress out of planning and arranging your events and travel. Call us today at 510-459-7732 or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions. Details is what we do. Life insurance, the most affordable, risk-free wealth-building tool in history. Advances in life insurance allow you to plan for college, retirement, investing, unexpected living expenses, and has the power to change the outlook of the next generation. Experts say most Americans are underinsured or have outdated policies. Your life policies should be optimized every 5 years or whenever there is a major life event. Call 866-235-4838 or visit us online at elite8financial.com/life insurance to have the experts at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provide you a free quote or a free evaluation of your existing coverage. If you won't do it for you, do it for them. Get behind the shield.
Get the most out of me time when you multi-mask with Mary Kay's Trio Mask Sets. The Moisture Renewal Gel Mask, Charcoal Mask, and the Pink Clay Mask. Each mask produces for your skin the moisture, softness, and glow you are wanting for your skin. And for your overall body, you will absolutely love the Satin Collection for your hands, lips, and body. Register on my website at www.marykay.com/RCBrook to get 30% off your website order through December.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the call to be born.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
He gon' fix your situation like there ain't no time for wasting. We ain't playing when we saying
he the boss.
And if you ever have a problem, he gon' show you how to solve it. Listen in and he'll show you he the boss.
Here's your host, the Texas Tax expert, George Dandridge.
And your new co-host, the financial trailblazer, Sharita Humphrey.
Crack the code, he the boss.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Boss Talk Radio. We're going to dispel some myths today, so make sure you tune in for that. And this is the last episode before we go into Christmas. I think we're going to do a pre-recorded one on that one. Somewhere we're going to get that in. We'll tell you guys the truth about buying cars under your business name and the things that's involved in that. But welcome to the show, everybody. My sister from another Miss Sharita Humphrey. How you doing, sweetheart?
I'm good. How are you today? Happy Friday, everybody.
I am doing well. You got plans for the holidays?
I do. My birthday is on Sunday.
Oh, you about to cut up for the rest of the year, huh?
Oh, yes. It's the cut-up countdown.
That's what's up, SAC season in full effect. Well, today we're going to be getting into some things about the crypto space, NFTs, how to invest in cryptos, talking about crypto taxes and things like that. Are you holding any digital assets like that?
Oh, I'm trying to do a little bit. I'm trying. I like those NFTs though. Really like. I like those NFTs.
Yeah, we have one of our special guests today, Evan Jefferson, is going to be coming on and talking about that. He's a financial educator like yourself, but he went like head first as an early adapter into that space, and he has a show every morning, Crypto in the Morning. I usually catching it on the replay because that brother be like in full effect at 6 a.m. Like, yeah, that's not quite my timeline right there. I'm just trying to get my coffee started. Huh?
Catch the show. I'm up at 5, so I'm gonna have to catch the show.
Yeah, I'm up at 5, but I ain't got my first cup of coffee at 6. I ain't trying to think like that. He be on 10, he be up here with it or whatever. He dropping the information. I can't even write that fast that time in the morning. Like, man. But yeah, the NFT space, man, I learned something just the other night. I was on an interview with Miss Talisha Shine. She was doing one of her speaking engagements, and we had her on the show last year when we had the Block Unchained. She was on part 1, and the amount of information she dropped on us was just like crazy. I was like, how do you even store all of that in your brain? But I was catching her the other day, and I don't know if you were up on this. She was breaking this thing down to us about the money opportunities in the new space. So I was like checking her out. I had been hearing these commercials from Facebook that's running on like Pandora and everything about how Facebook wants everybody to kind of speak on the new. Well, what I didn't know is basically, in the past, basically you sign up on the platform, they have the right to use anything that's on your platform and tell you what you can and can't do or whatever. By the way, if you're just tuning in, let us know who you are, where you're from and everything. And thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share the video, but give StreamYard your name so it doesn't just say Facebook user.
Facebook user, yeah.
So
that person said they love the
show. In this new space, you'll be able to like opt in or out or something. So you literally can charge them for your content. And I'm like, man, there's some people that's on social media so much, it'll be a full-time job for them or whatever. And so it's really positioned like influencers and people like that to really kind of cake up, outside of what they're normally doing, because now they're considered the content maker and will actually have the rights to how you use their stuff or whether they opt in or whatever. And if they opt in, you got to pay them. I'm like, wow, that's pretty dope.
Right. Real dope.
Like, imagine what that would have been like when we were in high school.
No.
That would have been crazy.
Right.
But yeah, so Evan's going to be coming on and talking about that and some other things. And the other one that was really crazy is the basically crypto market space. I mean, a real estate thing. Like, this is going bananas. So when I was checking out this interview the other night, one of my questions was, well, all right, you're saying I can buy this land that doesn't exist in this place that doesn't exist, but is there a way for me to be the, like, who am I buying this from? Why can't just why can I be the creator and I sell it to somebody? I want to get I want to be at the top of the food chain on that situation, So, but yeah, we're going to be talking about that as well. Shout out to Trishelle. She said that's getting into metaverse space. Oh, and then that was the other thing that I learned was that Facebook calling themselves Facebook.
Metaverse, yeah.
That don't know, Facebook is actually not the metaverse. It's kind of like, you drinking a soda, we calling it a Coke, and it's not nothing to do with Coca-Cola or whatever. Well, that's basically what Facebook decided to do on that situation. So, so it looks like we'll have to pull Trishelle into there. You have to send her a link or whatever. Because she's speaking on it. But we're going to come back right after this. We're going to have our Trailblazer tip. Sharita's going to get into that and give you guys some free game. And we'll be back right after this.
Did you know the IRS just hired more than 50,000 new agents? Most of these agents specialize in collections and are mandated to audit small businesses and increase collections on individuals. IRS notices can be intimidating, but waiting to act could cost you your valuable taxpayer rights. Don't try to handle the IRS alone. These agents are trained to trap you into agreements designed to collect as much money as possible. Don't pay thousands of dollars to a marketing company claiming to be a tax resolution firm. Get behind the shield. The enrolled agents at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services are experts at tax resolution, protecting taxpayers' rights, and are federally licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has the knowledge, skill, and experience to assist you with audit representation, liens, levies, offers and compromise, innocent spouse relief, wage garnishment, back taxes, and more. Don't lose sleep, time, or your rights as a taxpayer. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com to schedule a consultation and get the IRS off your back. Get behind the shield.
She cute. Style, comfort, and confidence. Shop with the trend in mind. She cute. Get the latest styles in outerwear, tops, jumpsuits, hats, and accessories. She cute. Shop from the comfort of your own home with confidence and quality products, hassle-free exchange, and free shipping over $65. She cute. Visit us online at SheCuteBoutique.com to shop our new fall collection.
Knowledge, integrity, security, service. Get behind the shield.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
And here she is with that thing that she does, giving you guys some education in the financial space. Today's topic, she's going to get into that credit thing. Here she is, the trailblazer herself, Sharita Humphrey.
Hey, let's talk about credit. We all know that the new credit, the new sexy is business credit, but one of the things that we definitely want to start to think about is how important it is to manage, to build, manage, and to maintain great personal credit. The reason why is because, of course, a lot of you guys are out there are bosses, and we know we want to be able to get access to OPM, other people's money, and to be able to do that, you want to make sure that you have the right credit. I heard Damon John say this last year when I was at a conference, a virtual conference that he was on, and he said, you know what? Forget keeping it 100. Let's keep it 700. If you are not there yet, if you are still trying to build your credit, you can do that. Of course, you guys know I'm a media spokesperson for Self. Shout out to Self Financial. Definitely, if you are looking to build your credit, you definitely want to do that. You can use Self. It's a great platform for you to be able to not only build your credit if you have a thin profile, but also if you are reestablishing your credit, because we all know financial hardships happens to some of the best of us, including myself. So one of the things is to make sure that you have a credit plan, and your plan is to make sure that you build and you maintain your credit. You want to be able to do this because guess what? It makes the approval process a lot less stressful. You don't have to pay additional fees, high pay APRs because of negative credit profiles. Yes, the score is important, and with so many people are always focused on the score, but not the overall profile. Your profile is like your resume to any lender. So it's important to make sure that you're presenting the best credit profiles to the potential creditors, lenders, and banking institutions. So yes, the score is important, but let's make sure that we're building positive credit profiles that will ultimately have a greater impact on those scores. So if you are still trying to build, continue to be able to do it. If you're looking to be able to leverage it, your great credit, this is the time to be able to do it. I will continue to come back with tips on how to be able to leverage your credit. But one of the things that I love to be able to do is to use my credit to be able to get access to low interest credit card offers. Also being able to continue to build great banking relationships by getting those lines of credit. So those are a few things that you can do to be able to help you to build credit. Lastly, what I want you guys to kind of think about is, if you are an entrepreneur and your boss is out there, don't forget about your personal credit. Business credit is great, but as you continue to go to apply for those business credit cards, they are going to pull your personal credit. So don't believe the hype. If you want to be able to get access to lines of credit, your personal credit will become a very a major factor. Even with our micro lenders and our more traditional banking products, they will still look at your credit. So remember, banking business credit is great, but we want to make sure that our personal credit is just as important.
All right, let's talk about this tax thing real quick because I'm already getting calls with people asking, hey, how soon are we able to file our taxes, etc. So first, let me say this. If you haven't done so already, don't go maxing out credit cards for Christmas gifts, counting on an early refund or something, because the IRS has not yet said when e-filing will start. And there is a false report circulating that it's going to be January 31st or something. It may be close to that time, but that's not official from the IRS, so don't count on that or what have you. And if you are someone who gets earned income credit and or child tax credit or something like that, your return isn't processed until after February 14th anyway, due to previous act. So a couple things you need to look out for. If you received any part of the advanced child tax credit, there's letters going out right after the first of the year. The letter 6419, it's going to tell you what your advanced payment credits were. And if you, for some reason, do not get that, or you're one of those people that throw your mail away without opening it because you think it's a bill, you can also go to irs.gov online account and create your account there. Or if you already have an account there, you can see what your payments are. Let me be clear on this part. If you receive any type of the economic impact payments or advanced child credits and you don't have it reconciled on your tax return, it will delay your tax return, and you may be looking at August or September before you get a refund, assuming that you don't actually have to go back in and do an amendment. Don't expect your tax professionals to do an amendment for free, part one, part two. You have a responsibility for bringing in your documents. There's a lot of talk in my industry about how we're going to be handling this. Some people are doing this as a service for you, going to see what those things are. They are charging for that. Others like myself, I just don't have the time, have an office to run, employees to manage. What we're not going to be doing is looking for those payments. So look for that letter so you can have this thing done in time. So right after this, we'll be back with our man, our special guest today, Mr. Evan Jefferson, bringing you that crypto knowledge. See you in a second.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the cost to be born.
So we're back. Yes, it's, I always have to catch the replay because my brother be up here on 10, early in the morning when I'm still wiping the coal out of my eye, trying to get that coffee going or whatever. And he has so much information. So everybody, welcome to the show. My brother from another mother way out in Atlanta, Georgia, bringing you guys the Crypto in the Morning. He is the author of The Black Billionaires, the founder of the Black Billionaires Club. And he just gives out more information. Like if he charged a penny for every gem that he put out, he'd probably be a billionaire already. Welcome to the show, Mr. Evan Jefferson. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? I just want to make sure I'm coming in clear. How's everything going? Mr. Dandridge is in the hizzy?
Oh, yeah, we are in the building. So I don't know if you caught the top of the hour. We were talking about all of these things that are happening, in the digital space and everything, from the real estate to the NFTs to this metaverse thing, and how, people will be able to basically claim the right on their content and get paid for it. It's so much happening. How are you keeping pace with all of this information as fast as it comes? Because most of this stuff I find out from you, and then I learned about the rest of it as it break down somewhere else. But you were like one of the early adapters to this thing. So how do you even stay up on all of this stuff?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, George. I think that it's kind of just like any other industry. I mean, I could ask the same thing about how you stay up on your taxes, right? Because that's your field. So, kind of with me, you know, I don't know how I was earlier than most when first hearing about, you know, cryptocurrency, and I was open to hearing more about it, learning more about it. And then as I did that, I kind of got, you know, it became hot. I became interested, and I just started diving in. So, I mean, it's been years of study, you know, but even that's not really enough, man, because it's always something new that's being developed that with this emerging market. I mean, we're 10 years into this thing and it's still early, and they're finding new ways to utilize, you know, some of this, you know, some of this technology for new things. So all I can say, man, is as you know, people send me things and I read things, and I'm on different sites and things like that. And then as I, you know, come across new information I think that'd be relevant for people to know, I try to drop it on them.
So I was checking out Miss Tynisa Shine. We had her on the show last year on the Chain Unblocked. Was kind of play on words and everything. But so I was checking her out the other day, and she has this description. She breaks it down, and to me, it's like everybody's talking about the coin, the currency, but it's like it's the technology that's really the thing. So how can people still, for lack of better words, invest in the technical space versus trying to chase what the next hot coin is going to be?
Well, you know, I would say that would be unfortunate. Well, there's a couple ways I guess you can do that, but the coins are representations of the technology in most cases, right? So, so a cryptocurrency, you know, typically represents some project that is being built on the blockchain. The blockchain is the technology. The cryptocurrency is a form of investment that you can have there, and then there's other forms of investments as well as you get to metaverse and NFTs and things like that. But I think understanding the technology and understanding some of the projects and what they're looking to do, what problems they're looking to solve, what you know, what industries they're looking to disrupt can help an investor make a sounder decision as it relates, you know, versus just maybe chasing something that's trending or something like that. I guess that's a good way to put it, because I mean, it's very similar to stock investing, right? You have people that'll be, you know, intrigued by penny stocks because of their price, but maybe not have much value. Then you have others that are saying, you know what, we've been in this for a while, we still invest in long-term value positions. So it's very similar to that in the crypto space as well. You have some projects that are foundational, important, and be around for a long time, and you have others which are pump and dump, you know, here today, gone tomorrow. So that's kind of how it operates. But technology is serious. The blockchain technology and the functionality that comes along with it, seeing it disrupt music industry, the mortgage industry, the real estate. I mean, they're almost just kind of coming up with something for everything at this point. And so, you know, keeping my ear to the ground, I'm intrigued. I mean, I'm curious. I'm intrigued as to what will be the next thing that, you know, that'll come out that will that could quite possibly add to or replace something that's currently in our system.
So the terms that she dropped down on us the other night were decentralization, immutability, tokenization, distribution, and encryption. Now, I'm not going to try to eloquently explain those away like she did, but in the nutshell, these were the things that basically makes the blockchain what it is. And that part about the immutability part of it and the encryption, which is basically to say, hey, at this point it's safe, and at this point, this is a ledger of what happened that can't be reversed no matter what. My question is, what is the slowdown on? I fail to understand with I'm a tech tart. With my limited understanding of technology as it is, I get it. So why is it taking so long for the powers that be to institute this in every place possible to just make for a better life? People are getting their identification stolen every day. People are losing land to title changes. And I mean, it looks like it almost solved damn near every problem other than empathy.
Yeah, and that's what's very intriguing about it, is that it can bring solutions in a lot of different areas of our society, right? But you said a key word there, key phrase, the powers that be. So I think truth is that most of the powers that be aren't interested in solving those problems. You know what I'm saying? The problems are kind of what helps them remain to be in power. It's almost like the illusion of solutions in a sense. So if I were an individual who, could make those decisions, and it would affect my bottom line, it would affect my family lineage or inheritance or whatever, I'd be slow to adopt it or to accept it as well. And
so
we've
really
seen,
control play.
Yeah, it's control. I mean, that's what our society is about: capital and control, right? So if you're talking about something that's decentralized, that you're basically saying that there's no one in control. And if there's no one in control, then there's the people that that value control or that are currently in control, means that they have now lost a position in our society. And that's not that, it's going to be more so about the people accepting it more so than the powers that be, because ultimately the people outnumber the powers. But the powers control the media. The powers control, pretty much controlling what people are able to see and understand at this particular point, unless you are, a person that's, has self-initiative and you do some self-study and things like that. So I would be, if I was in those positions, I'd be hesitant as well, because I realize it will affect my position. And money, power, respect is those are three things that are important to a lot of people. So, but I've just found in my life, man, that the healthcare industry don't want you to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just an interesting thing, man, when you really start to look at how our society is and how it's set up. But you start talking about, you start talking about anybody being able to see truth and is open to be able to interpret. I mean, that changes a lot of things, especially if you've been hiding truth, or if truth has been hidden from the masses for a long time, and that's questionable in and of itself. So, but yeah, I mean, it brings in a space of copyright. It brings in a space of, this could be a solution for voting. This could be a solution for anything that has to do with authenticity, certificates, ownerships. This is a thing that rectifies that, and it shows the history of how far that thing go back without it being able to be changed. I mean, which is what our current system is supposed to do. But we know, there's been times where, wait a second, when did that signature get on that piece of paper? I don't remember that person being in the room when we signed that document. So, it eliminates a lot of that stuff.
So I got to play devil's advocate right here, because there's a segment of people that absolutely love we're not talking about the technology anymore, but the actual, the currencies and whatnot. And they have this very passionate speech about the future of currencies and whatnot. I didn't even know until like recently that there were thousands of them. I thought there were only like 10, but I learned that there are thousands. But so here's the thing that, I'm going to play devil's advocate with. Everybody's talking about, well, okay, fiat currency is dead. You need to move to this. You need to acquire. You need to store it. You need to have it, so forth and so on. And I think, positioning that, to a certain degree is what's up. Like, it needs to be done. But here's the thing. To buy it, you need the fiat. To use it, you got to transfer it back to the fiat. I'm starting to see more and more of the Bitcoin ATMs, but other than a few select online merchants, I'm not seeing widespread retail, acceptance of digital assets or what have you. I know some people in my space are actually starting to use it and whatnot. I haven't adapted it yet because I don't want to charge you this amount that I think is would convert into $1 in a digital currency, and I wake up and it dipped 30,000 points or whatever. And like, oh, I just charged you $6 for something I wanted to charge you 600 for. Wait a minute. How do you balance that? And you're a savvy investor. How do you kind of balance those assets?
Well, I understand again that it's early, right? So when I'm definitely not of the mindset that it's changing today, right? But I would say be in preparation for that change to come. I mean, because we're starting to see, like you said, we're starting to see slowly but surely more adoption from an institutional standpoint, and also more use. So there are like I think Tesla just mentioned that they would start accepting Dogecoin. I believe they said that or something like that. So there are some companies and some corporations which are accepting actually cryptocurrency as currency. And so it is actually a currency. But when you say, hey, from fiat to cryptocurrency, again, that is what I would consider to be a pair, very similar to saying I'm going from the USD to the Mexican peso or something like that, where we have a foreign exchange that's taking place. So with cryptocurrency, there are some things to be aware of. Number one, as you mentioned, ATMs are a thing where you could buy and sell crypto or exchange crypto or transfer crypto in a sense, mostly Bitcoin. But you're starting to see them duality. You start to see ATM and Bitcoin machine all together now. Also, you have your crypto credit cards, which allow you to spend your crypto. Coinbase has a debit card. BlockFi has a debit card. Ledger, which is where you can actually store your crypto offline, is actually coming out with a debit card soon. I'm on that wait list to see what happens with that. So what that allows me to do is actually...
Is that really just the powers that be finding a way to take back control and have the mass of it, or having the credit cards and stuff?
Well, there is going to have to, in order for adoption or mass adoption to happen, there is going to have to be some centralized component to a decentralized currency, right? I mean, you're going to have some centralized component. There's going to have to be some that has to be there in order for there to be some regulation or laws to really be relevant for that particular asset class as well. So there will have to be a mix of our decentralized components with some centralized exchanges or or outlets in a sense. In order for that, so in order for there to be mass adoption of a payment in a centralized world, there has to be some centralized component to that. And if that component is a debit card, then so be it. Right, but it's still tied to that particular exchange. So it just allows me. Matter of fact, Square just came out with being able to send as a gift a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency to someone, as well as stocks. So there are some things that are just kind of happening, and also there are some payment processors out there that's making it easier for companies to be able to accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment as well. And we already, you probably, know about the country that has, El Salvador, which has made Bitcoin a legal tender. So with these new forms of exchange kind of taking place, it begins to allow for there be a mixture. I don't think that cryptocurrency will eliminate the dollar. Or any fiat currency, because it's been around so long and most people are used to using that. But being that our society has already moved to more of a digital society as far as our payments are concerned, most people aren't really carrying cash. They're still using these forms of payment, credit cards or PayPal or Square or something like that, which is a digital exchange in a sense, to make those transactions.
So they're already conditioned for it.
Right, you're all conditioned to be able to use a very similar type of form of outlet for any cryptocurrency that's accumulated. But the difference is, if you're just talking straight cryptocurrency, as most of the currencies move up or down, but you do have the creation of those stable coins, which are actually tied to your fiat and are stable in form, and they don't have any inflationary or deflationary or appreciation or depreciating type of movement with them. So that's something that Congress is starting to look at to see if that would if stable coins would be something of use as they try to round up how are they going to tackle the whole cryptocurrency.
They're going to keep the power.
Huh?
Say how they're going to keep the power, basically.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to lose power, man. Nobody. So
we'll be back right after this.
Increasing brand awareness is essential. The more brand exposure you have for your company, the more likely you are to generate revenue with both existing and new customers. Scale Up Productions wants to help your business scale upward by helping you to create a video advertisement that is meant to garner interest and get customers excited about what you do. Send an email to support@scaleupproductions.com today to get started. The sky is the limit. Scale up.
The U.S. government has given billions of dollars to businesses in an effort to curb the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The government will begin to pursue recouping these funds in 2021. Aggressive penalties will be imposed on companies that do not follow regulations and guidelines for proper use of these funds. Criminal charges are already being levied on fraudulent use. Don't suffer again. Get a customized business operations success suite from Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services for your company today. BOSS packages include entity formation, payroll, accounting and bookkeeping, tax planning, tax filings, and quarterly strategy sessions to minimize your tax liability, increase efficiency, and maximize your profits. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com. Get the guidance, tools, and protection your business needs now. Get BOSS. Get behind the shield.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Check out the commercial.
Okay. So we got Evan Jefferson in the building, and as promised, we have another crypto expert coming up in a minute. But Evan, I was cracking a joke earlier because, I don't know what's going on with your alarm clock, dude, but I've been getting up, strolling to the bathroom, and you're already on in full effect on 10, hyped up, doing the crypto in the morning. Tell everybody about the show and how they can find you.
Yeah, so the show is kind of my give back. I do a show called Crypto in the Morning, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's a reason why I do it super early. Obviously, I believe the early bird gets the worm, but that's before a lot of money really starts to move in markets. So I like to try to, and I like to do something at the same time every day. But it's basically, to kind of look at the crypto market, look at new news that's coming out, try to stay abreast of any new developments that's happening in the crypto space. And sometimes there's nothing much to talk about, but I think it helps people that are jumping in the space or are already in the space to remain vigilant, and also to help to develop or to build some fundamental space as it relates to things that they may be interested in. When you start to hear about all these different people and all these different, use cases for cryptocurrency, it really helps to solidify, a belief in that, quite frankly, this new asset class that's out. So I do that Monday through Friday, generally generally speaking, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's free to the public. And I do that across all different like social media platforms at ERGJ Enterprise. That'll be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and sometimes Instagram, but ERGJ Enterprises.
Let's say that
other than that, man,
you cut out on that one. Say that one more time. I think he froze up over there.
I think it's
ERJ Enterprises across all the social media platforms. Yeah. So other than that, man, I've been in crypto for ERG Enterprises, like my name, or that was
ERGJ Enterprises.
Yeah, ERGJ Enterprises. But yeah, other than that, man, we do we teach. I teach people how to get started, how to get in crypto, and other aspects of cryptocurrency. We do consultations as well for people that really want to kind of put together a plan on how to really grow their accounts. And we have our club that we kind of do some things on a weekly basis together. So that's what we got going on.
Okay, so tell us about your book, because I know you have a book out there. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, I'm actually working on book number 2 now, man. It's the Black Billionaires Club. It's a book that I wrote in 2018, and it represents a compilation of the billionaires, Black billionaires that are still alive today. This is global, and so you have Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, Robert Smith, and then you got a whole bunch of Africans for the most part in oil. And then actually I'm working on book number 2 because we have some new billionaires, and we probably have some billionaires or some former billionaires who are now millionaires, depending on their net worth. And we're actually going to make that one an NFT. So that'll be my first NFT that I'll create to show people that your book could be an NFT as well. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, NFT has been a very popular word, or I guess it's not really a word, but we call it a word. It's been a popular phrase, one of the most popular phrases of 2021. So I'll be hopping into the NFT space with my book. And as I say, I'm just a believer in the future of this technology. So I'll be using it. I'll be doing it myself. So that's what we got going on.
We're going to take a deep dive into the NFT in your work in that space and your collectibles. Right now, I want to bring to the show none other than Tynisa Gaines, and we don't have enough time to read her resume, first of all, so we're going to just hit some highlights over here. Like, she was an enrolled agent, or is an enrolled agent, and has been one for well over 10 years. And so she was at the beginning of the crypto thing and saw where the industry was going and immediately just became an adapter. So she's pretty much the authority when it comes to taxation in the crypto space. Like, I think a month or 2 ago, I was asking her about a class or something, and she's like, yeah, by the time I put it together, it won't matter no more because we're going to be moved on. I was like, wow. So it's like, get in where you fit in, start to learn everything you can. But Tynisa, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
And welcome to Texas, too.
Trying to keep me here.
Have you. Oh, yeah, we got to keep it warm for you down here.
It's nice.
So one of the single biggest myths that exists today is that you should buy crypto because you can move around and acquire things and do all kinds of things, and you can't be taxed on it.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And one of the things I do tell people is that crypto is private, but it's not secret. And so by private, I mean that you can purchase it with very little information. You can just have a cell phone, you kind of put in an email address, you can buy Bitcoin. You don't have to put in your name, your address, your social, anything like that to purchase it. So in that regard, it's somewhat private because you don't even know like who that person is. They just have a wallet address. However, anything that is put on a public blockchain is just that, it's public. And I think people just miss the point that crypto is generally put on a blockchain, regardless of whose blockchain it is. It's listed, and so it is actually a public place where you can find things. So if I can basically just go to a website and type in etherscan.io and read with just a wallet address what transactions were done, then so can the IRS. It's not, I mean, it's a web-based thing, and it's not as hidden as people think. Now, people think if they go find some of the foreign exchanges and they just use a wallet, I mean, people have all these ways that they think they're avoiding the IRS. And I would say that you're not. And the IRS has sent out a bunch of John Doe letters basically saying, we know you have crypto, you should report it. And they've been in varying degrees, some very soft because they don't have a lot of information, some saying, we know you have it and you didn't report it. And I would say that proactively, where I work at Token Tax. We're actually a crypto startup that's been around for about 5 years. And we're basically designing tools to help report this crypto. We've told our clients you should come up front and report if you haven't in the past year, because section 6662 of the IRS code, which actually assesses a 20% penalty, doesn't apply once they send out the letter saying, we know you have crypto. So basically you can't get a penalty abatement if they come to you. But if you proactively amend your returns, you might be able to abate some of those penalties. I'm not going to guarantee that. I'm just saying your option's gone when they find you first.
And it's a question right on the form, you know, now it's like, hey, did you buy, sell, or trade any cryptocurrency? Like, it's a direct question, and it's been around, is like going into year 3 now that it's actually been on the form.
I think it started in 18 and it was on the schedule 1.
Right.
And now it's moved to the 1040.
Right.
The thing is, in 2021, the best part about it is they finally, I think, got the wording right, because they changed the wording every year. And we were still like, what do you want? But this year for 2021, it actually says, did you dispose of instead of acquire? And that makes the difference, because you can buy crypto all day and it's not taxable until you sell it. So the question now is, did you dispose of it? Because at that point, we have something to report on the tax return.
So in this, because I'm starting to see now, I'm actually starting to see people, you know, get the letter saying, hey, you know, you're underreported, or this, that, and the third, or whatever. What I'm seeing is the combination of crypto and the ability to do fractional buys and do it from your smartphone. I see more people talking about investing than ever in life, especially young people. It's like it's a new culture or whatever. And Evan, if you want to speak to this, what I'm confused about is like, okay, the ease of it makes people feel like there's no need for an education on it, and they're just running wild with it. So last year I saw this for the first time. I had somebody come to me, and it wasn't the crypto thing, but they had a Robinhood account or whatever, and they must have had 1,200 transactions on there, and all of that to have a net loss of like $5. I'm like, are you serious right now? You know, and it's like, you want me to have to do this? Like, yeah, no, I'm gonna have to charge you for this. What is causing the phenomenon of people wanting to do the investment but without the, for lack of better words, the education? And then, Tynisa, can you speak to, or inform them rather, the tax implications of doing so? Did Evan freeze?
I mean, before Evan speaks, I will say they are educated. They listen to TikTok. So there's a difference with no education and believing that they received education because someone on TikTok said so. So it's who they choose to believe, I would say. But I'll let Evan comment on that.
And I'm trying to figure out if he froze up there.
Oh, it does look like it.
Are you with us, Evan?
Am I frozen?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, the screen's frozen.
Oh, my screen is frozen. I just haven't moved in a while.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Okay, you're good now.
Yeah, so I think I think like I'm excited to see more people be interested in this space of investing, learning to make their money work for them. I think that we just simply have a lack of education as it relates to finances, and so when you come across the space where you're like, my money, it can do that's a intriguing aspect. The ease of use, getting people involved, right? So when you have and all these new ways of this new technology that's allowing people to get into this space, like that's and it's so easy to do it without having to. I mean, there's not something that comes with that says, okay, well, go through this investing 101 class before you get started. Nor is there some, here, consider the tax implications. There's many people who simply don't know anything about taxes other than whether they have a job and they file based upon what they get from their job. So if they have to do it on their own, then now we're talking about another level of responsibility that most people simply don't have, period, when it comes to financial matters. So this is a tall order. I mean, we know and understand that financial literacy education in our society is a tall order for many, but not having the education does not mean you won't be penalized for what you don't know either. So
yeah, ignorance is not a defense. And it's funny. I think that, as we said earlier, the powers that be, I think they kind of watch the show because whenever somebody's really going in on something, it starts to break the audio up. So some of what you said got chopped up, and then you came back in real clear, like they knew what you were saying before, or maybe they had a little stalling device or something. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
But, the thing is so T, tell us about the short-term, long-term gains, because a lot of people don't realize this is treated as property.
Right. So, I mean, in general, crypto that's traded is either sold, is sold and is reported as either a short-term or long-term capital gain. If you hold it for over a year, it's basically a long-term gain. And the benefit to making it long-term means that you will be subject to lower capital gains rates, which are currently 0, 15, and 20%, versus your ordinary tax rates, which range from 10 to 37% in short term. So the term in the crypto space obviously is HODL, which basically started in 2013 because someone misspelled hold. And it basically means to buy and hold your currency. And so people that are in it for the long term and people that have been in crypto for a while know that you definitely don't want to day trade crypto on an hourly basis, I should say, because the markets never close and things like that. So the real OG crypto people, they HODL. And that they do that because even when they do sell, they have long-term capital gains versus short-term capital gains. So all of these new people getting in the market now who are like, oh, let me get in, I can buy it. And oh, Bitcoin just went up, I'm going to sell it. And oh no, Bitcoin just went back down. And they're just kind of playing this seesaw game. Well, they're being subject to short-term gains when they do that, which depending on their tax rate could be substantial. Now, someone that's under, say, the 15% tax rate is probably going to break even short-term or long-term. But anybody higher than that, you run the risk of paying more taxes. And keep in mind that crypto's made quite a bit of millionaires, even billionaires recently. So even though you may have had a little W-2 in 2019 that had you in a low tax bracket because you only made $20,000, and then 2020 you got laid off your job and started trading Bitcoin, and now you've made $500,000. And trust me, I've seen it. I've done many returns where these kids are in their parents' basement and they made $500,000 and their parents are like, oh, I need to claim my kid. And I'm like, nah. The kitty tax is going to hit you on that one. You're not claiming this kid. He made more than you, like 5 times more than you this year. So, yeah, it's important to note that the crypto trades do tie into your tax rate. So if you made $500,000 in crypto, you're now in one of the highest tax brackets that exists. So you're doing short term, you're getting hit with a 37% rate versus if you hold it, then your highest rate would be 20%. So,
and let me ask this question because I'm sure you're seeing more and more of these returns and from the type of people that don't necessarily file tax returns on time. But we're coming up to the end of the year. We have more people that have gotten into investing than ever before, specifically in cryptocurrencies. What type of things do they need to be on the lookout for or put together to bring to their tax professionals to make sure they have an accurate return?
So depending on how complex your return is, your crypto trading is, if you use a simple exchange like Coinbase, then Coinbase will allow you to use a software. You probably have to pay for it if you have so many transactions, that will download the reports needed for your taxes, which are the 8949. Most of these softwares that you can purchase online just run you a transaction report, and you basically have to purchase another software to reconcile your transactions. So anyone who uses a wallet and an exchange, and basically you have multiple ways to purchase your crypto and sell your crypto. You're not hiding anything when you say I bought it with my wallet, then I transferred it to Coinbase, and then I moved over to Polygon and I wrapped my ETH, and you're thinking you're avoiding things. You're not. You basically have a complicated situation, and you need to use a service, and there are many out there. Of course, I'm gonna recommend mine, Token Tax, but there are many services out there that will compile all of your transactions, all of your wallets. Everything will sync up. You can either do manual CSVs to add in your data. You can use APIs if they exist, but basically it'll pull all your transactions into one little software. It'll calculate them all, and it will provide the report you need, which is usually at 8949 for your tax preparer. Now, if you are mining crypto and running nodes and generating ordinary income, it's possible that you might have to file a Schedule C or some other business return, because mining income is subject to self-employment tax. Either way, just like with any other tax forms, you need to keep your records. And a lot of times exchanges crash, go defunct, things like that. So if you buy the software early in the year and keep linking your data throughout the year, you have at least a backup of your data if you're not going to keep it yourself in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. But you shouldn't wait till now to try to find software and try to upload all your data, because there are many issues with many exchanges now where they're not releasing data. They don't want to deal with US clients and things like that. So,
so Ty, so we have a question from Garrett, wants to know, what software do you recommend?
I recommend TokenTax.co because I work there. We have a team of extremely smart engineers that are currently working on everything that comes out. We're working on now NFTs and creating some different ways to communicate with those NFT platforms. We work well with DeFi now. So I recommend us, but there are definitely, if you Google crypto software, there's tons out there. Depending on how complex your situation is, you may not need but the smallest plan. But if you are out there really in the crypto streets doing a lot, you definitely probably want to go with a higher package and with a company that kind of has some high level people that can assist you with sorting through all of that data.
Now, is that just for reconciling the crypto trades and everything, that the software does that part?
Yes.
For you? Okay. And
it also can run FBAR reports to see what your highest balance was in certain times of the year to see if you may need to file that. The jury's out on if FBARs are required for foreign exchanges. A lot of people say it's not, but a lot of times people with foreign exchanges may have foreign bank accounts, which would generate the FBAR reporting, which says if you had over $10,000 in a foreign account in a year, you have to file this. So that's a FinCEN report, not an IRS report, but we generally file those for a lot of clients who do have the foreign exchanges. The likelihood that they don't have a foreign account is kind of slim, but when they don't have foreign exchanges, so we try to get all that data put in.
So we have this other part. You guys have heard me talk about estimated taxes a lot, especially as it relates to business owners. But one of the things that a lot of you have trouble doing is you've grown up handling taxes from a very reactionary space versus a proactive space. In other words, you were doing the tax return, but not tax planning. So, Ty, speak to the importance of, say, a mid-year checkup if somebody's like not doing the whole, and they're kind of flipping transactions and messed around and made a mint, before the second quarter is up. What should they be doing in order to not get that $500,000 tax bill at the end of the year?
So to be honest with you, I deal with a lot of crypto people, and I tell them that they should pay estimated taxes because there is an underestimated tax penalty. We have a pay-as-you-go tax system, so the IRS does expect you to pay quarterly taxes if you're basically going to owe more than $1,000 at the end of the year. And they basically have a calculation where they look at 100% of your tax from the prior year and say, well, if you at least paid that, we won't charge you the penalty, or 90% of your current year tax. So basically, if you don't hit either of those thresholds, you get hit with an underestimated tax penalty. Now, I will tell you the reason why crypto people do not pay estimated taxes, because they can make more money than the underestimated tax penalty by holding their money and trading it. They can make more money in the market throughout the year than paying the IRS up front. They want their money to buy and trade. So you can tell them all day, let's check in, let's make an estimated tax payment, and they'll say, that's cool. I'll just pay the $500,000 in January or whenever I file. And they do. It's the craziest thing, because they're like, what you want is going to stop me from putting my money back into the market. So and it happens. I mean, it happens if you're good at it. It could be very true, but we could have people who were high, back in June, July, Bitcoin was up, and now look at it, it has kind of slid back, and you might have to pay next year if Bitcoin doesn't go back up and you have to sell to pay your tax bill, and it's down, and that's the most, of your holdings, and Bitcoin drops to like 30K. And you were thinking, oh, when Bitcoin goes to 75, I'll sell, I'll cash out, pay my taxes, and it drops. You're kind of screwed. And I do get a few people who are like, I mean, I paid the 80 grand to the IRS, but I don't have 15 grand for the state, and it's like, if you would have just made those estimated payments when you had it, you wouldn't be stuck with this. So you get it both ways, but you are supposed to pay as you go. And there are penalties for not doing so.
That is a very, very valid point. Trishelle, I don't know if you're still on. We sent you out a link if you wanted to pop in, because it looked like you had some information on those things as well in the crypto space. When we come back, we're going to get into the meaning of NFTs and how you guys can leverage up in that space. And Evan's going to tell you about his massive collection, and we're going to talk about this whole disrupting thing right after this.
Life insurance, the most affordable, risk-free, wealth-building tool in history. Advances in life insurance allow you to plan for college, retirement, invest it, unexpected living expenses, and has the power to change the outlook of the next generation. Experts say most Americans are underinsured or have outdated policies. Your life policies should be optimized every 5 years or whenever there is a major life event. Call 866-235-4838 Or visit us online at elite8financial.com/life insurance to have the experts at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provide you a free quote or a free evaluation of your existing coverage. If you won't do it for you, do it for them. Get behind the shield. Your bags are packed and you're ready to enjoy a much-needed vacation. You arrive at the airport and you're delayed because you were unaware of new protocols. When you land, you're not sure who to use for reliable ground transportation. You arrive at your resort to find it doesn't look like the brochures and your accommodations aren't ready. You've just lost an entire day trying to get settled and you still have to find things to do while on vacation. Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. At DNO, every detail of your trip is vetted for quality to create a great client experience. We're even accessible while you're away to take care of any concerns that may arise. Call us today at 510-459-7732 to plan your next vacation. Or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions. Details is what we do. Did you know the IRS just hired more than 50,000 new agents? Most of these agents specialize in collections and are mandated to audit small businesses and increase collections on individuals. IRS notices can be intimidating, but waiting to act could cost you your valuable taxpayer rights. Don't try to handle the IRS alone. These agents are trained to track you into agreements designed to collect as much money as possible. Don't pay thousands of dollars to a marketing company claiming to be a tax resolution firm. Get behind the shield. The enrolled agents at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services are experts at tax resolution, protecting taxpayers' rights, and are federally licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has the knowledge, skill, and experience to assist you with audit representation, liens, levies, offers and compromise, innocent spouse relief, wage garnishment, back taxes, and more. Don't lose sleep, time, or your rights as a taxpayer. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com to schedule a consultation and get the IRS off your back. Get behind the shield.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the call to be born.
Let's get into it. Evan Jefferson has bought a couple of blocks over there in this NFT space, the kind of a real estate guru over there. How did you come across this? What is it about? And, because I started seeing you post pictures one day, and I really actually thought it was like actual property or whatever. So when you bought like 5 1 week, I was like, wait a minute, what he got going on that I don't know about or whatever. So I was about to come fly to GA and be like, hey man, let me hold something and get in on this thing. So let's talk about that real estate space and what it means and what the opportunities there are.
I think I'm off mute. So NFTs represent a disruption in this entire market, and I know that most people probably have heard about the metaverse by now, where you can acquire virtual land, but actually what I'm doing is actually tokenizing real physical property. So NFTs basically is a non-fungible token that certifies authentic ownership in some entity, and so I'm come across a platform where I'm able to acquire almost like a crowdfunding type of source to be able to tokenize, or it's tokenized real estate that is a link to physical property. So particularly what I liked about it was that I always wanted to get into real estate myself, but I never wanted to really dive into the schematics of finding property and renovating property. So this is just like a management company that does all of that, and they allow for investors to participate through NFTs in a sense. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But also NFTs are now being mortgages are starting to be created with NFTs, and you have the virtual real estate, which is an NFT in a sense. So it's there's a lot going on in this space that many don't know are NFTs that they might be participating in or might be looking at, but most of that stuff is just, you know, the ownership rights in some particular entity somewhere. And my fancy is physical real estate, because I just, you know, we're still going to have to, you know, people are still going to have to live somewhere. People are still going to have to find some place to lay their head. And that just has now opened up an opportunity for me to jump into this space that I've always kind of wanted to get into, but just from an investment standpoint.
Okay. And you have, I'm seeing people become millionaires in this art space too, like the graphic art and whatnot. And you're one of the collectors over there. What's the long game with that?
Well, I think I'm not as into the art as I am into, again, some of the functionality and use. I have a little bit of art that I've acquired, but I really, the long game, I think, with that question, man, the long game, I think, is going to eventually move to real. I don't know if I want to call it real art, but you have these spaces that's created. They call it an NFT art versus, you know, authentic art like a Mona Lisa or something like that type of art. I think eventually you're going to start to see the long game is going to be art, photos, wedding pictures, all of that stuff is going to eventually come into the space where people are saying, you know what, I can now have this stored in this data cloud without necessarily having to have this physical thing that we keep. It's gonna start to bring in spaces where people are saying, do I need to have all of this junk in the house when I can have it stored in the, you know, in the cloud? And that's the long game that I see. Short term, you're going to start to see people acquiring this NFT art for the NFT lands, where you may have an NFT art museum, which we already have now from Sotheby's and things like that, where they're building virtual identical places to what's already in the physical space. And that's going to allow for people to visit places virtually that they may never have been able to visit physically. And an art museum is one of those things that is in the metaverse. So these copies, or even one-to-one authentic pieces of art actually have value, and being able to kind of travel through this virtual space to go places that you may never been able to physically go to, I think is intriguing to a lot of people.
That's crazy. I just thought about the part of being able to go places you normally would not have been able to go. And, you know, Ty, I know you're over there seeing, you know, 10-year-olds become millionaires and whatnot. How are parents going to control their kids after this?
They're not. They don't have kids.
Like,
they're not even dependents anymore. These kids are so rich.
You have a kid that's 14 and like, hey, you went to work this morning and you made $300 today. Yeah, I made $3,000 before lunchtime. Just so happening. I mean, how are you dealing with that? And okay, what's your advice to the parent that's not really paying that close of attention to what their kid is doing on the computer, and their kid then went in there and made $50,000 in the course of a year and they don't even know about it?
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, because it's not even just the NFT space, but the video games are definitely paying kids. I mean, you already had like the Roblox thing, and that was a big deal. And now you have like the Axie Infinity, and people are buying Axies and they're breeding them, and they're making tons of money. And even the buy-in is pretty high. But in terms of, you know, taxes, I mean, they have to pay taxes, and if the parent still claims them as a dependent, they're subject to kiddie taxes. But in general, something like the video games and things could be considered staking income, ordinary income, or it could be considered like self-employment income if they have basically a business doing it. A lot of time it's not necessarily the trade. So it's not necessarily the capital gains when it comes to that. But if they mint an NFT, it costs nothing basically to actually create or mint an NFT. The cost comes in when you actually sell it. And so the issue is that it doesn't cost a lot other than the gas fees when you sell it. So most of these NFTs have zero cost basis or very low cost basis. So I think you guys mentioned Art Blocks is one of the main marketplaces selling these art. And I mean, I had a client just a couple of weeks ago that said, hey, I minted this art earlier this year, so a short term, and it just sold for 2.4 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I mean, he was just shocked. He's like, so how much can I write off in charity, to basically eliminate my tax liability? So it got us all thinking, because until we actually get posed with these specific questions and situations, obviously the IRS has very little guidance. We have to use the guidance that we have. And so interestingly enough, this year you could actually write off 100% of your cash charitable contributions, which would basically wipe out any tax liability. The problem is once you sell the NFT, you've created a capital gain. So you'd have to create it just to have the cash to donate it. The only way you can donate directly to a charity is long term. So the long term, when you asked him about the long game, the one thing you want to do is HODL, like I said before. So these short-term issues are short-term issues because people are actually selling them in the short term. If people could hold on to them, they could actually have lower capital gains rates, and they may be able to have more options such as direct donation to a charity and actually write off some of this income. Now, obviously, if we're talking, 0.2 ETH for something, it's not as big of a deal as we're talking about 2.4 million. So now the planning definitely comes into play with how can I lower my tax liability if I'm looking at these large sales. And the most obvious one generally is charity. But once you sell it and then donate it, you paid the capital gains first, and then you're doing a donate. It's almost like it's a circular effect there.
Money game.
It's kind of hard to plan, dude. I mean, how do you
plan that your NFT is gonna sell for 2.4? You can't. Right. And that's the thing. It's like someone mentioned it. One of my colleagues called it. It's like a scratcher in a lottery. You like which one is gonna pay out. You get all these scratchers and you never win. And then that one time you get that scratcher that's like, I won. And that's essentially the case with the NFTs. And I see the market getting saturated in some ways, but then also the NFT space requires a following. It requires people to get behind it. People have to want it. It still has to have some kind of intrinsic value to you. So just everyone creating an NFT doesn't really mean anything. But then you look at the ones like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, and you're like, these weird looking things are going for all this money. And they just looked up with that. I mean, they just got the right scratcher in that case. But the next person that does it and just creates a funny looking NFT is not necessarily going to get rich off of it. So everybody's trying to get in the game, but it's not necessarily, for everybody.
So we have we hadn't done this before, but one of our guests was at the top of the show and said that this was their space and they were commenting and dropping some jewels or whatever. So we sent her a link, and let's welcome to the show, Mr. Cheryl Williams. How you doing today?
Hey. Welcome to the show. I need to unmute myself. Hey, everybody. Hi. I'm so glad to be able to be on. I'm actually also an amazing sister to Miss Sharita over there who be giving all the juice on financial stuff. And yes, I've actually recently, I've probably been in the game for about a year now. My dad did amazing in the Bitcoin space. And about 5 years ago, he told me to get in and I didn't pay attention. And at Thanksgiving last year, he sat across the couch and looked at me like this. And I said, can I just get one? Just give me one. And he says, no, because I told you what to do. And so he is sitting very nicely in retirement, doing whatever he wants to do. And so I jumped into the game with Ethereum back when it was $700. And so I literally took every bit of my 401k and every bit of savings and literally jumped in and took the hits, for the taking it out beforehand and all that. But it is definitely produced. And I'm loving my NFT space. I've just recently gotten into the NFT space. I started with Top Shop. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the NBA Top Shops, because that's the only thing I really understood. I understand basketball because my family is in sports. So I understood going to get Curry and all the folks spaces. I understood when they start talking about the NFTs in the space of these are the new baseball cards, I guess you would say, and how you can collect them. And so I started collecting them about a year ago, and I have a pretty but I'm not selling. I'm hodling for real. Like big time, like we not selling nothing. I don't want any taxable events happening this year at all. I'm like, no selling happening. So I was just saying, hey, and so excited that Sharita invited us into the conversation on her Awesome and Amazing Money Mindset Facebook group. And I just was saying, hey. So I don't know if you had questions or not, but just wanted to say hey.
Well, you actually brought up a thought process, and I'm going to shoot this one to all of these super responsible, awesomely knowledgeable people I have on the show today, because in one of my spaces, which is asset protection, we find that even when, we'll call it new money, comes into such, even with all the things that they do to be savvy and grow it, there seems to be a disconnect or a failure to properly put that in place for that generation behind them, the people that they're actually doing it for. So I've been told that there's this thing with the keys, and from what I understood, like you lose a key, your stuff is just gone in never land or whatever. And I start thinking about, like, after Katrina, how I start seeing people, lose land, lose property that had been in the family for generations, but nobody ever bothered to change the title. And so 4 or 5 generations in or whatever. So when it comes to this thing and passing this stuff along and understanding what the basis was and all of these other factors that come into this, because the government agencies clearly can't keep up with the pace of the technology and the passion for it. What do people do to, how do we start that conversation? Because I'm still getting picked on by, my kids who are now, 19 and 21. I used to get on their case about the video games, and now, of course, they throw it back like, Dad, we could have been doing it, but you wouldn't let us, get the hell out of here. So, but we have all of these things that's constantly changing as we're living in the Jetson age. What conversations should people be having with their kids if they're dabbling in this? And should this be a part of their estate planning? I got the financial educators in the building or whatever. Y'all speak on this thing.
It absolutely should be part of financial planning. My son he knows I have Coinbase. So if I die, that's the first thing he's going for, right? He's probably not going to care about anything else. He's going to be like, I got to get the Coinbase password because I know she has money. You have to leave the records just like everything else. And so the problem is we don't plan for death anyway, no matter what, whether it's crypto, housing, like you said, titles. We as a community don't do it. People just die and there's no record, and that's why we have GoFundMes and people don't have insurance. I mean, so the point is, if you're going to plan, you plan everything. And if you actually do have an estate plan, you put that in it. And you have to have someone you can trust to be able to find this information. So you need to write those keys down somewhere. I mean, the likelihood that you're going to have a dinner party and somebody's going to come in your house and find the keys to your crypto, I mean, you need to put them up somewhere, or you need to have it in a place where someone else knows how to access your stuff. And this is not just crypto. It's your other bank accounts. It's stock. It's anything you may or may not have. It's insurance forms. I mean, the planning is not just crypto. People get all panicked like, oh, we're never going to get the crypto. It's hidden. Well, I mean, the likelihood that you get anything, if people have a will and they leave everything all spelled out, this will be part of it. If they don't, then this won't be part of it. So you have to leave it. Record keeping is essential for everything. And this being more so if it's complicated to get to it, meaning if you have a wallet and wallet address versus a centralized exchange, or if you have a hard wallet, you might want to say where that's being kept. But again, you have to leave the instructions out.
Why are they saying not to put that in the safe deposit box?
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
or you shouldn't put your keys in the safe deposit box. I don't know what that's about.
I mean, people still have safe deposit boxes.
Right.
I mean, you know, there's secure things to keep on the cloud. I mean, there's ways to keep information you want to keep. So I'm not going to say don't use a safe deposit box if that's what you normally use, but make sure someone has access to it and knows that you have it. A lot of times people don't like to tell people that they have assets because they think people will come for their assets. But you have to be able to trust someone, whether it's the executive of your estate. I mean, old Aunt Mildred in Kansas. I don't know. Someone has to know what you have and where you have it. So you have to have at least someone you trust. Go ahead.
Can I add, so a couple things in the security side of cryptocurrency. I think one of the major issues where people are having the issue about the security deposit boxes and stuff is that crypto is a little bit different from you having a deed where you got to go prove X, Y, and Z on the back end, or you got to produce documents and paperwork. When you're on that blockchain and you have somebody's keys, you don't actually have to prove anything because the proof is the key. And so I think when you are hearing people say, make sure you're careful where you put a thing, is that it's not this as I know I'm not saying your name right, as he talked about earlier, that this is something that that is moving without any regulation. That there is no regulation on this right now. It is almost the same as if you put the wrong address in when you're sending crypto to somebody. It can be just out there on the blockchain and there's no recovery of it because there isn't any regulation on it at this point. And so when they're saying be careful about putting it in a box, if you got a key and you don't have somebody who is whatever, they can take your crypto and you don't know it. You would have to be someone for a person who's a hodler, who sits there and put their stuff away, and you just like, I'm just gonna believe that this is gonna grow when it grows and the market bulls, or if it whatever it needs to do, you expect it to be there, and then you gave a key to somebody and all they need is a key. That's the issue that they're basically saying, having that whole thing. And so with my family and my husband and I, what we have done is there's a thing that's called, mine is sitting on my desk right now, only because I was literally putting a new key in. But we have what is called a stone book, and stone book has crypto-like stuff, meaning you can have invisible ink, you can have all kind of things that was like from the Jetsons time that you can put, and you have the pen and the other person has that, all the things, and it won't, people don't want you to leave it in your house because they say if you leave it in the house burn up. Well, this is something that is not, you can't burn, it won't burn, it won't, dissolve, it won't do all the things, water won't affect it. And so there's lots of different things, but I do believe what we have decided to do is we decided to have conversations with the people who we are connected to let them know that these things, this thing like this ledger that has ledger and all the things in it, where the person, whoever the person is that is in, just like your estate plan or whoever that is, will know what that information is. I don't think there's a problem unless you're giving your stuff out where you wouldn't have a security, safe security box. What you call them now? Do we
I know, right?
I don't know. People get strange behind.
They do get strange.
Strange behind some money,
You are absolutely correct. You're correct.
So George, so we have a question. It's an anonymous questions. It's in the inbox. Just as saying, okay, what you guys are talking about is very, very important. First of all, is I have no idea what crypto is. I don't know what the blockchain is or Coinbase. And now y'all just threw some joy gems on here and talking about estate planning and trust. Where have these conversations been, and why are we just hearing about this? Thank you for bringing this awareness to our community.
I'm going to let you and Evan speak on that because you guys are head first out there. Like a lot of people don't know this, but how I came across Evan was like one day I came across him and he just looked like he had it on his sleeve. Like he was hell bent on educating the community on money. And at some point he realized that was an uphill battle and kind of turned that corner a little bit. But Evan, where's that conversation been? Why isn't it as common as, you know, the video games and all the things like that?
Well, I would say that it's probably I got a lot of things to say about that, but let's just say that our community gets what it values, and the conversations that we have are based upon what we value. So I think it's, you know, this is the start of a cool conversation, but I mean, as you said, there's not really a lot of planning for death. There's not really a lot of life insurance. I mean, even in my own family, even as a financial educator myself, it's still a difficult conversation to have or bring up, even in my own family, because I'm like the only one that wants to talk about this stuff. So, you know, where has it been? Here's the good news. The conversations are being had. The question is, do you want to have them? Right. So in my circle, right, I this is what I'm going to talk about, and these are the type of people I'm going to be around, because you know, wealth accumulation and generational transference of that wealth is important to me, but it wasn't always important to me. So when it wasn't important to me, guess what I was talking about? The things that were important to me at that particular time in my life and that particular age. So as the concept of not just money, not just making money being valuable, but what to do with it being more valuable than how to make it has become in my life, then I have found myself in forums like this, and found myself around people that that willingly discuss those things. And so I want to make sure that people understand, in our community, these conversations are being had. It's not it's not that our community doesn't talk about this stuff. We are having this conversation, but we are a small voice in a big forest of nonsense. And the nonsense is what captures people's attention. The nonsense is what is fun. And really talking about money and talking about planning and talking about a long-term plan for your financial future is not a very fun topic for most people. So that's probably why they don't talk about it. Because if I mean, just think about it. Like, if I didn't have any money if I have never really invested, and I'm 40 years old, the conversation I need to be having now is, okay, what do I need to do for retirement? I'm not really thinking about what I need to do to plan for retirement, because I ain't got nothing. I ain't planned up to this point. So I got to start from somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, but this is a major topic that is minor in our community, and until the people value it more, then it'll continue to be a minor in our community. I mean, but look at the comments, look at the people that have joined. I mean, we got a whole bunch of other EAs and things like that. We got a lot of people in the financial space in our community, but I mean,
I think that's a big thing too, is just the choice. Because anybody ever watch the show? Okay, y'all know I didn't got to tell you, we're about to get hot because they start talking about this money and this planning thing. If you ever watch the show, you know that I always say you got a choice. So I don't get into all of the sympathy, empathy thing. Hey, yeah, like somebody called themselves that they was gonna check me and whatnot. They said, well, George, you need to watch how you speak because one misstep and you could be back in this place or that place. And I was like, you're absolutely right. The difference between me and you is I'm not gonna lay there and say, oh, what happened to me? I did it before, I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna keep on doing it, I'm gonna teach everybody else that's willing to listen how to do this thing. And I remember when I had that epiphany of like, hey, if you're gonna be around me, you're gonna be talking about taxes and money or whatever. And the funny thing was, I didn't have to change my circle. My circle changed itself because those people that didn't want to talk about those things moved away from me.
Right.
And other people like Ty and many others drew to me. And I belong to a community now that no matter what I accomplish, you know, what accolades I get, how much money I get or whatever, I'm in a community now where it's like, oh, that's cool. That was like, you know, still 4 years ago, but good job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to play catch up, you know, like, I remember when I did AFSP, I was proud of myself. For those that don't know, it's the annual filing season program. I felt like somebody, I'm listed on the IRS, and they were having conversations about how to depreciate planes and whatnot for clients and tax plan. I was like, whoa, I need a different customer. Wait a minute. You know, I remember when I became an EA and I was like, hey, pop my collar or whatever. And I saw some other conversations like, God darn, I went back. I remember the first time I had 60 CE in 1 year and was like, hey, I'm the man. I did. And they were like, yeah, if you ain't did 100, you ain't done nothing. I did get 100 this year, Ty. I got 108, by the way. But, you know, it's who you position yourself around. So what's the saying? If you show me 4 broke people, you're going to be the 5th one. It's really who you choose to be around. And some people will make this excuse that, well, this is my circumstances, this is my environment. So you know, I don't have those choices to make because this is in my environment. Guess what? If you got feet, you can walk up out of your environment. Damn what you're talking about, you know? So you got to stop with the excuses. Then the next thing for those who feel otherwise, I'm gonna hurt your feelings or whatever, making money ain't nothing. Like once you start making money, you realize making money ain't nothing. You know, you go to sleep broke and wake up with a good bit of change once you know how to make money.
Right.
Keeping the money is the real thing. If you don't change your mindset in your relationship about money, it doesn't matter how much you get. And that's where the saying, you know, money can't buy happiness comes from. Is like, hey, are the more money, more problems? Let me tell you something. The more understanding, the less problems, because you know how to manage that thing. And if you can't manage $1,000, you never keep $1 million. You know, you'd be broke in the short. That's why a lot of winners go broke so quick. You know, they don't know how to manage it. They get a windfall, that lottery scratch off or whatever. And so that's kind of where I was going with these, you know, insta millionaires or crypto heirs or whatever. I don't know what the term is, you know, but it's like, hey, these kids are figuring out a space that, you know, I know I'm a tech tard and everything, but, you know, in the time it took us to do this show, they didn't just created a whole bunch of stuff. Like, wow, you know, and it has some sort of value to somebody. I'm like, some of it's just kind of crazy to me. I'd rather smoke a cigar, but, you know, hey, I have to have the conversation. I got to learn this stuff, you know, because now it seems inevitably, okay, well, you're going to be in my industry. You're going to deal with some crypto. You have to understand this thing, you know, on the next level, like you understand everything else. That's why I've been bugging the hell out of Ty, because she wrote the tax law on crypto, I think. But seriously speaking, though.
So, George, real quick.
Being had.
Real quick, George. Jillian has been dropping some feedback for us in the comments. She said one of the things is many don't have the states to plan. So she said, just being honest, the issue is that it's not just the conversation, it's about understanding what wealth building is. I think that that's a conversation too, George, because we always have that. We said we don't want to be rich, we want to be wealthy. And I think that that's conversations that a lot of people don't understand when they hear that. And I think that's why my good friend and brother from another mother gets some feedback on it. He was just like, you can easily go back from being rich to poor. And people don't like to hear that when he says it. But if you're not tax planning, if you're not having these conversations, then you definitely have to do this. And so Jillian just said she's been in tax finance for 15 years. And she said a lot of us, we don't have financial conversation until somebody dies. So I'd love to be able to hear y'all feedback about that.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with that one to the extent of, because I used to think that. And what I found is, just like what we were saying, it's about the circles that you expose yourself to, because like I remember being in a circle where life insurance was a big conversation. It's not in the circles that I am now, because it's like it's really assumed. Like, we understand if you ain't done this, don't talk about a crypto or investing, or you have the checking accounts conversation. If you don't do life insurance, you're not welcome into, you don't graduate, don't pass go, no $200. Like, that's where the conversation starts. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna give you this example that pisses people off all the time. You want to end senseless violence, specifically as it relates to race? This is how you handle reparations. When you are born, you get a social security number. How about if you're born black, along with that social security number, that just be a bond number for a $1 million life insurance policy? You think cops just gonna shoot you randomly? No. You know why? Because the insurance companies are not in the business of losing money, and they'll change how things happen. Y'all are ready for me to preach today.
Oh, you want to preach today, Pastor?
That's a gem right there, y'all.
I'm saying, I mean, when you want to really have the conversation, then people start making the excuses. Well, oh, you're sitting on your soapbox and you act like this and that, but everybody can't afford life insurance. How you know? You never even called for a quote. You assumed it was something that it wasn't. And let me tell you this is a matter of fact. The cheapest life insurance will ever be is today. It only goes up from here. Like whatever today is, that's the cheapest it'll ever be, no matter how old you are. Today is the cheapest it'll ever be. So putting that off, and the reason I have an issue when people say that is going back to what Evan was saying. Our community tends to buy what we want and beg for what we need. You have stupid conversations about what the government's doing or not doing for you, and in the process, it's like, I believe personally that within the community, we have everything we need. We just refuse to collaborate and get out of the, me mindset. But I've had people come to me and want to talk about a pay plan or this or that and the other. And in the meantime, I'm sitting there with my phone in my hand while they're talking, and I'm looking at their social media, and they have a closet full of Jordans. They got the iPhone 32 on their hip, wearing, some expensive brand stuff or whatever. And you're telling me that you don't have the money to pay me for what you need from me. Yeah, okay, go get it, because this is not what we doing. Now granted, sometimes I have a single mom come in or whatever. I see what it is or whatever. Hey, I'm willing to get that with you, but for the most part, you have to start somewhere in helping yourself. And life insurance is, in fact, the start. One time somebody jumped on and was like, oh, you're saying that because you sell it. Let me tell you something. That makes about this much of my annual revenue. Is just something I believe in. I preach it. I teach it. Whenever I speak on it, because it's a matter of fact. The reason that there's such a wealth disparity in America is because when we graduated from high school, it was a question of, how are you going to go to college? What grants, what loans are out there, or whatever. And our Caucasian counterparts got, handed money from a trust that was from a life insurance policy for generations from somebody they ain't even met yet. And I've seen this in real time since I've been in the finance industry. I've seen people walk, identical, just different colors, different backgrounds, go to do the same thing. And this person has to hustle and fight and scrape and scratch. And this person just said, hey, grandma, this is what I want to do. And she said, okay, baby, and stroke the check, And in order to be able to do that, we have to get out of this mentality of, oh, I ain't leaving this for that person so they could go drive my car and, they'd be living good off of my money. Well, you have to have a different conversation where you're educating people about how to, because let me tell you something, you can control money from the grave if you want to. Rockefeller's still doing it. He running the whole damn country and he been dead how long, but I'm sorry, Jillian. I went left because when I get that, that's one of the things I'm just a little bit passionate about.
George, can I add something as a thought? Whenever in the space that I operate in, I sometimes get that same conversation about who's teaching this and why aren't we having the conversation? And I always like to put personal responsibility on the person who's asking the question, because the reality of it is it has to start somewhere. So if you are in a circle, like you said, and your circle isn't having the conversation, but you are connected to a space like this that is having the conversation, then now it becomes your responsibility. If you feel drawn and called and, oh my God, where is this conversation happening? Then that becomes you. You become that person. So it's not the mindset of somebody else owes me something. I clean at that space myself. I'm like, people like, no, we're gonna get the people who making the money to pay for the stuff. No, listen, it is your responsibility as a human being to do the things that are necessary for you to grow and to learn. The unfortunate thing is somewhere, somehow, we figured out somebody owes something over and over and over and over and over again. And even if you got it, if you've not changed your mindset, it doesn't matter, because you're going to get it and it's going to be gone. I've seen people get inheritance from family members and have nothing left after that. Cars, money, it doesn't matter. It's gone within whatever time. And so the reality of it is, if you're the person who's saying, hey, this conversation needs to be had in whatever the environment, be the initiator. I got my mom in cryptocurrency. I got my sisters in cryptocurrency. I've gotten my nieces. They're all in a space where they know if auntie comes, we're going to have a conversation about money. But the reality of it is if I'm expecting somebody else to do it, then it never gets done. It never gets done. So that's just my piece.
Preach, sister, preach.
Yeah, and to that same effect, here you go. Once again, I can't imagine how hard it is to do this, because I'm only on for an hour or two once a week. Every now and then I might pop in and do a 10-15-minute episode. This brother is on early in the morning, 5 days a week, giving the game. What do you mean, where's the conversation? We live in okay, so everybody has these $1,200 paperweights, right? It's a powerful thing in the right hands, but without it, it's just a $1,200 paperweight. You can get information. So how many of y'all remember when you had to go walk to the library? Wait till Monday to go to school. Like, these kids will never know what it is to have to go get a library card. Everything is at the touch of a finger, but you have a choice. You can look up some rapper's net worth, or you can look up how to form an NFT. Choice. It goes back to choice. We're in the information age. When people get mad when I say we're living the most equitable times ever, they're like, what are you talking about? There's systemism and there's racism and there's all of these isms. Like, yeah, it is, but here's the difference. We got the internet. We got the internet. Like, you can't keep information from us to the extent that we want to find it, there's an amazing thing that happens. Anytime you walk toward any particular thing, like when you put energy in, something starts to come out of it. So if your pursuit is knowledge, here's something that's funny. Everybody wants to be rich, but nobody wants to study money.
Right.
Right.
Like,
not even that.
About college, like, what are you gonna do? Oh, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. At the end of the day, who's there? Like, I want to be rich. I want to study how a dollar works. Go ahead,
listen to people that are not actual experts in the space too. And you have to be careful who you listen to, because there's a TikTok video for everything. And I will tell you that people don't want to hear about taxes ever. Like, I can't just sit here and say this is going to be a tax show, because nobody's going to come. You got to slide in the tax lady with all the fun stuff. Otherwise, nobody's listening.
Right.
So I'm here, but you're not hearing me.
Right. That Clubhouse University. Listen, everybody's a tax advisor, money coach, business coach, all of the things.
Clearly, I'm the only person without a TikTok account, I guess.
I don't have one either.
I don't have one either.
Okay, I was about to say, don't leave me out here in the cold. Let a brother know what's happening. But yeah, so the conversation is happening. Mr. Jefferson, what do you want to leave the people with?
I share your sentiments, man. That we have everything we need in our community. I think it's pertinent. I would say definitely follow everyone that's showing up on this platform here, because we're all probably putting out some content some way, someplace, somehow, and stay connected. I mean, we're all adding to the money conversation and money solutions, and I think it'd be pertinent. It would be wise and prudent of an individual to say, you know what, these are people that are having a conversation that took their time to be here today. At the very least, I could show my support by following them and then participating in anything they have coming up. So that's what I would say. But if you're looking for crypto info, I'm a guy that went from I still long-term invest in stocks, and now I do my growth strategy through crypto. I'm a certified financial educator, and I basically focus on investing. So I help you get to the point where you got your money working for you, so that you won't always be working for your money. So that's what I got.
Trishelle, what do you want to leave them with?
I would just say take the first step. If you are here and you have questions, or if you are just considering, take the step and just take one step. One step will lead you to many, many, many paths, and get connected. Just like Evan said, get connected to those who you know, like, and trust, and can get the insight and rock with it.
My tax sister from another mister. Y'all got Ty's like the coolest person on the planet. She don't really get alarmed by nothing, probably because she's rich, but I don't know. Yeah, she's like, yeah, my son knows I got Coinbase. He might be trying to knock me off or something. She was one of the early adapters. I joke about her writing some of the crypto tax laws, but that's just a slightly loose joke.
Right. Slightly, because there are no real ones, but yeah. I have to interpret what's there.
Of Virginia EA Society, like she's the authority in that space. What do you want to leave them with when it comes to the tax component of the wealth conversation?
So I would say there's a lot of money to be made. I know that a lot of times people say, Black people don't have money, or poor people don't have money. And I will tell you that crypto is actually becoming more prevalent in a lot of third world countries and poor countries. Crypto is a huge factor in places with low money. Like we're saying, El Salvador now is jumping on board to make it a real currency. And a lot of countries in Africa, a lot of these places, people didn't have much and they're able to get into crypto. So if you're thinking that you don't have the money to get into crypto, you're wrong. And the best time to get into crypto is now, today, just because the longer you're in, the more you're going to know. I mean, I've been in I've been doing taxes for over probably close to 20 years, George. You cut me about halfway there. I'm definitely a OG in taxes, but crypto, I would say you're almost an OG if you've been in it since like 17, 18. And that's about when I started. And so if you've got, all you need is a couple years and you're like, a pro at it, and it keeps changing and it keeps evolving. So you get in now and you're able to build on that. When I first got in, you were just buying Bitcoin, buying Ethereum, you were buying basic things. Now you can do smart contracts and you can purchase. I mean, you can lend money and you can buy houses and you can do almost anything with crypto now. And obviously we talked about selling art for 2.4 million as an NFT. So now it has evolved. So get in now and start understanding where it started and where it's going, because there's opportunities out there for everyone. But just keep in mind that you do have to pay taxes on these opportunities. It's not hidden money. It's definitely taxable. And you have to find you a professional that's versed in crypto if you're going to do it. You cannot just do your taxes and forget to tell your tax professional that you have done something with crypto. They have to know that, because there are certain things that have to be reported with crypto. Now, if you just bought the whole thing, you got to keep the records, because buying is not taxable, but we need that cost basis for when you sell it. So you basically need to share, if you're in the crypto game, with someone that's doing your taxes. And I would recommend that you don't do them yourself if you're doing something with crypto, because you're probably going to get something wrong. And I would say if you're doing it in multiple places, that you purchase software. And like I said, I clearly recommend mine at tokentax.co, but there are other softwares out there. Pay for software just like you pay for anything else. That's your investment to make sure your crypto is actually accurately reported. And so you're not hitting any penalties from your IRS or state for lack of reporting or incorrect reporting. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it to do it wrong. And it's worth everything to get it right the first time and to keep track of it moving forward.
Now, if y'all watched this show before, you know I'm going to tell you, you may want to heed Ty's advice on that, because, yeah, I charge this to get stuff done. I charge this to get it fixed. So, you may want to go ahead and do that, because once you have an IRS letter, pressure's on you. I can help, but I like nice steaks and big cigars. Sharita, what you want to leave them with?
I want to leave them with that. If the conversation is not being had in your community, or we call them ecosystem builders over here in your ecosystem, then be the trailblazer and you start the conversations. You don't have to. Of course, we want you to join. Make sure you share this this amazing show with your friends, so that way they can see that the conversations are being had. But make sure that you can be the trailblazer. So we empower you to be able to let others know about this show, making sure that you follow everybody here, so that way you can be able to show them that the conversations are being had and that they don't want to be left behind. So with that, Trishelle, thank you for always supporting. Ty, love to be able to meet you. Evan, I've been following you for a while. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll turn it over to my brother to close this out. We'll see you guys in the next show.
Well, I kind of already heated it up for you guys, so I don't know if we need to do the 5 minutes of fire in this particular case, but we're going to do the takeaways and do it like this. Number one, show up. Everything starts there. Just show up. It's impossible to be in the right spaces and not get something valuable out of it. So just show up, whether it's on Evan's show, whether it's in the Money Mindset group, whether it's sharing Boss Talk Radio. Show up. Find out where that's happening in your community and show up there. Always believe that you have some value to contribute. When you show up with your hand out looking for somebody to do something for you, it's much harder to get something done than when you show up saying, how can I help? How can I be of service? We had a show, was that last week, Sharita?
Last week.
And as fantastic as our guest was, as much as she had going on or whatever, we end up being online for like another hour and something after the show closed. and just went to weaving networks and start getting all kind of other stuff done. In fact, I saw her last night at an event, at a chamber event, and she just bragged on how gold Sharita was. She's like, man, Sharita's on it and she's doing this. I was like, that's my dog. She will handle that. That's her space. That's what she do. And what you're going to find is that when you start to show up, you don't have to do all the things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to know everything about NFTs because I got ERGJ. Hey, bro, point me where to go to get this game or learn this or whatever, you know. But I follow him, so I know enough about it to know that my little character and my next book and all of this kind of stuff, yeah, those are going to be NFTs, and hopefully somebody decide they want to drop 2.4 million on it. Y'all going to know about it too, because I'm acting fool. I'll be on there every day for sure then, you know. So, but yeah, so that's the big thing. The next thing is don't just show up, start. I see a lot of times that people go and they get information and motivation, but it doesn't lead to self-actualization. You gotta make a first step. So yes, get the life insurance. I don't care if you get the $10,000 worth or whatever as a start, you know, and build on it. The thing is you have to start. Kind of like weight loss, it doesn't happen overnight. It's an accumulated process. You didn't get fat all at once. You ain't gonna get skinny all at once. You know, you ain't gonna get rich all at once. It's an accumulation process, the term they use when we're talking about the annuities and whatnot, the accumulation period. So, you know, be prepared to do that, because social media have you guys thinking like everything is like this, y'all microwave generation. You know, I'm from the days we had to rewind the cassette with a pencil if the thing was, so I know how to take my time with this stuff. So I encourage you to reach out to everybody that's on the show, because they have information for you. They all have their own platforms, and that's how you get plugged in to the circles in the ecosystem. And again, everything we need, we already have. You just have to learn how to leverage your value in that circle and be able to serve someone else, and they'll serve you. Till next week, we'll see you guys.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss, ooh, he the boss, ooh, yeah, he the boss, he's the boss, he the boss, he the